Hello, everybody. My name is John, and I'm going to take you on a little tour of my studio today. Just going to kind of talk a little bit about some of the equipment that I have, some of the projects that I work on, some tips that I might give to those people who want to get into this kind of stuff. I guess let's get started. Okay, so I kind of set it up over here in one of the rooms in my house. And starting from this side of the room, got some pictures up on the wall, some pictures of family, uh, places that I've been, little souvenirs, things like that. So it's kind of the inspiration, whenever you're working on music, got to think about the things that are important to you, kind of the things that inspire you. So I just got that right next to me. Okay, so let's start with some of the equipment that I have. I would say I'm kind of a hybrid between old and new. Some equipment I've kept around over the years because it's been really faithful to me and has just done a great job, so I don't really see any point in replacing it. Some things I did need to replace, so I'll just kind of take a look. So starting over here, I have an old PC that I'm not really using at the moment. I just haven't got around to, you know, figure out what I want to do. Starting with my mixer, I am running an old Roland VMC 7100. This was great back in the day because it's modular. The actual brain of the unit is down here. So it runs with one cable to the mixing surface, has recallable faders, all that good stuff. But sounds really good, had speaker modeling, and it's really good for me. So I just didn't ever bother changing it. It has a lot of inputs, interfaces with everything I need to do. So that's why I keep on using it. One of my computers is a 2010 Mac Pro 8 core. I have a couple of SSDs, bumped the RAM up to 32 gigs. And then my other PCs down here, it's a custom built. I don't know if you can really see it, but it's in a rack mount case. So I'm running two PCs. One of them is running Nuendo, the PC, and then I'm running Cubase on the Mac Pro. I'm running a RME Fireface 400. It's given me years of faithful service. Sounds great. Does everything I needed to do. Interfaces between my two computers, so I just have it around. This is the Roland DAF AT. It's a box that connects between the computer and the audio interface. And like I mentioned before, this is the brain unit of my mixing console. Down here, you can see on the floor, it's the power supply to my BAE lunchbox, which I'll get into in a second. I record vocals sometimes, but not that much. So what I did was I got a BAE 6-space lunchbox, and in it I have a Rupert Neve 511 preamp, and next to it a DBX 560A compressor. That's pretty much all I need for now for vocals, because I don't record too much of that. Maybe if I ever get any more use or need in the future, I have a couple of extra slots right here, so I can add some more modules if I need it. Then moving over here is pretty much for my drums or whatever percussion I need. I have a Spark LE as my controller. I also use a Native Instruments battery, Reason, and some other programs for drums. And it's an old keyboard that I have. It's a Roland XP30. It's a good old reliable workhorse keyboard that I just keep around because it does everything pretty much that I need to do. And I have this smaller Yamaha CBX K1. I won't believe they make these anymore, but it's really cool because it's also battery powered, so I can bring it if I need to on the go. So if you can probably see behind me, just a couple of posters for fun hanging on the wall. It's a couple of movies I did the soundtracks and the trailers for. I'll put them up here on the video, little excerpts maybe from YouTube, so you can see. and hear the music that I kind of did. But really fun projects. I mean, I never thought I would be getting into that field, even for a little bit, but it was fun. I mean, music's all about fun, and I'm definitely up for any kind of a project, regardless of what it is, as long as it allows me to be creative and use music as a tool to reach out to people.
Thank you for doing so much for this honor. I really do appreciate it. I want to thank every single one of my contract stars. Jim, my partner, thank you so much for the brilliant job. Everyone, Adela, you are my angel. Thank you so much, Bobby. Great job, Mark Kramer. Thank you so much, everybody.
I don't know. Maybe we're at the bathroom.
AVN is now pleased to announce this year's inductees into the AVN Hall of
One of my favorite pieces of gear is anything that's analog. So got a couple of analog pieces of equipment behind me, so let's check it out. So one thing I really like is fat basses and leads, things like that. And this thing from Studio Electronics called the SE1X. You guys probably have heard of that. I was lucky enough to get the limited run of the Angel Dust white color. So I love this thing, especially combined when I run it into a little tube preamp compressor. It just makes it really warm and fat sounding. And no matter how many VSTs I have tried, like as you could see up here, I have some of the Arturia stuff like the Mini Moog, Jupiter. I don't know, for some reason to my ears, it just doesn't sound the same. And I could never really get it to sound the way analog does. So that's why I have this module. And the other one I have is their Studio Electronics again, is their Code. Their Code is awesome. I mean, it's a multi-timbral polyphonic synth, so you can play chords, pads, things like that. And like I said, I tried the VSTs, I have contact instruments and Arturia and what have you, and it just doesn't sound the same. So I am sticking to hardware for now. But I mean, I use both, obviously, but if I have to go to something analog, I kind of would go to these two units first. So if I had to give some advice about recording and mixing in general. It's the same advice that I wish someone would have given me earlier when I was doing this. I think the number one thing that's going to make the biggest difference in the sound quality of your recordings is your speakers. I had been mixing on an old pair of, I don't even remember what brand, but I had been using those for so long, I just got used to the sound, and I didn't realize that had I just changed those speakers to something more accurate and better sounding, it would have influenced a lot of directions and decisions I would have made in my mixes. So I think probably the best thing I ever did for my studio was to upgrade, like I said, my monitors, which as you can see behind me, I'm using a pair of the Atom Audio, the A7Xs. I know everybody says these are one of the world's best selling monitors, and after listening for myself, I understand why. I could sit at these for hours and I don't have any ear fatigue, and it's really true. They don't make bad recordings sound good, but they'll make you a better mixer, give you a better critical way of listening to things. And I think that's probably the biggest advice I could give to someone is make sure you have the best sounding speakers that you possibly can. And in my opinion, I would say get a pair of Atoms. Okay guys, well, I hope you had fun hanging out with me. I had fun hanging out with you guys, kind of explaining a little bit of tools I use to make music. And you know, if you guys have any questions, you could post a comment here on the YouTube link and I'll get back to you. If nothing else, you guys have fun out there and be creative. Go make that music. That's what I'm going to do right now. Thanks.
Thank you.